Get ready with me while I share everything that I've done over the last 9 months to start helping and healing my mental and physical body after having 2 kids. So I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're amazing and wonderful, and I love them. And I've always, been on an ongoing health and mental health journey, but I feel like it was predictable and manageable until I started introducing pregnancy, postpartum, everything like that. And then it became super unpredictable. And then the months after having them would still continue to be that way. So I had my first in 2020 and, started to kind of sort of feel like myself before I had my little girl. And then I had her like barely almost 2 years later. Had her, and kind of the way that it's progressed is my cycle just got really, really long. I started carrying a lot of weight like in my midsection, which has never been a thing for me before. I've always been kind of like more on the curvy side, like in my legs and booty, but like haven't ever carried weight there. So I knew this seems like kind of hormonal, whatever. And in addition to where I was carrying weight and the extra weight that I wasn't able to lose, it was like I could tell, and I would track, and I would be absolutely in a calorie deficit, like no doubt. And I still would not be losing weight. It's like a calorie deficit would keep me in maintenance at best. So I knew something was off there. And then I knew because of my cycle, something was off. Because of my mood, it's like PMS would start like halfway through my cycle, like 2 weeks before my actual period. So for all those reasons, I knew like, okay, this is abnormal. That's not even to mention like feeling consistent anxiety, that was just not the norm for me, beyond just like the postpartum anxiety. It was like it would go beyond that, and I would just really not feel like myself no matter what I did. So we'll start back in March was when I first started making changes. I had a friend invite me to a Pilates class. And so I did that with her, and I've never been super athletic and never like, I've been a part of a gym before, but like I've always just kind of been more relaxed about that kind of thing. Like, oh, I'll just go on walks or a run or whatever. So she invited me to a Pilates class, and it kind of like pushed me through a wall of insecurity of like, could I actually do classes with other women? Plus it pushed me out of my comfort zone in, that I brought my kids to it. And it was like, it was both challenging and a huge relief to bring my kids to the gym and have like an hour-long moment or hour-long break where they were in a class and I was getting to work out. So that was like, wait, this is amazing. But I will say I had to work through some anxiety and fear with that. So if you're watching this and you have fear and anxiety about leaving your kids with strangers or the safety of it, here are some of the things that I did. I know this is kind of crazy, but at the time, the gym that we were going to didn't have any real strong security measures for making sure like you were the one to drop them off and pick them up. So I printed out lanyards with pictures of my kids and us. And I put on their names, our names, and our phone numbers. I'm not kidding. And I didn't care that I looked crazy because I knew like, this is good for me, this is good for them, but I'm gonna make sure that like they know, one, that the right person is picking my kids up, but also two, they know that I'm a little bit more involved than maybe what they're used to. And I kind of found comfort in that. Like, I'm good if they think I'm a little bit high strung, if it means my kids are safe. So that's one crazy thing that I did. Another thing that I did is, and this is also kind of intense, kind of vulnerable, but I'm just being honest about everything. I have already introduced my kids to books about body safety. So we've already started that process around 2 for both of them, of like, these are your private parts. This is what you say. No, stop. I'm going to tell my mama, like, things like that might seem intense, but if you are a mom who's done research or is concerned about that, this is for you. Those are some of the things that I started because I just know for my mental, I need to have opportunities to get out of the house and get my kids out of the house. So I've just started to try and equip them to know, like, this is what's safe, this is what's not safe, things like that. And there's books. I can link somewhere. There's books that you can start reading them on that kind of thing so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm the only one who can be with my kids, that kind of thing. And I had to go on a whole journey of researching and working through the fear of all of that. Okay, so that was kind of the start of my gym journey. Pretty much in the same time, I started seeing a counselor who is a Christian counselor, and I talked to him over FaceTime. And I mean, that's been a journey of itself of feeling like it's vulnerable, it's stretching, it's challenging, but I can't say enough for the phase of life that I'm in, maybe always, I don't know, about the opportunity to have that release bi-weekly for me. It's just been incredibly helpful, and that's not even including like the tools that he's given me. Just the release alone has been so helpful. Now, I will say about him, it's the tools that he uses are very much like, here are the things you can do within your control, within your own life, with your own mindset to feel better about your life and your circumstances. He's not a big, like, here's how you can change everyone around you. And I really appreciate that. You know, he hasn't encouraged me to cut people off. He hasn't told me if they don't change, you're not going to be okay. He's really big on, here's what you can do to feel better within yourself, regardless of anyone else's actions, how healthy they are, things like that. And that's been really good for me as somebody who I can be codependent. I can be obsessive about relational things. And so that has been really good for me. I think it's exposed to me all the ways that I've felt overly responsible for other people's lives, happiness, how I made them feel, things like that. And that's just been good for me to kind of flesh out. And I feel 100 times lighter, not feeling like it's like most of that stuff is mine to carry. I feel like I can just love people and not feel responsible for them. So that's been incredible. It's been really great for my marriage. We've both met with this guy separately, so that's been cool in learning, but also in kind of accountability. It's like, I know when I have a conversation with my husband that it's a conversation that we're probably both going to refer back to in a conversation with our counselor. And that, to be honest, kind of holds me accountable. I feel a lot less likely to just like say whatever comes to my mind, because I know that there's somebody else involved who can tell me that I was a little bit out of line, and I like that. I like that kind of help. It's been really healthy for me, and really healthy for my husband too. So that's kind of the counseling component of it. But, you know, the mental health stuff has been very much a combination of counseling, and then also the physical health has had a huge impact on the mental health. The counseling has had a huge impact on the physical health. It's all been intertwined, really. So started at the gym, ended up switching to another gym, which has better security, but also has childcare. I love it. I love classes. Started talking to a counselor, have steadily done that. And then the last thing that has been really huge is I noticed that no matter how much muscle I gained, how well things were going at the gym, I was still not losing pounds, like, at all. My weight was totally stubborn, staying the same. So I went and saw a natural nurse practitioner, like a functional one. And she did all my labs, checked all my thyroid. Sorry, that was gross. So she checked all my thyroid markers, all my labs, and basically what it came back was like, because of my weight, had gotten to a point where I was not in a negative range with my thyroid markers and stuff like that, but I had slight abnormalities on all of my markers. Like, they were just like slightly different than what they were supposed to be. So they were still normal, but the combination of all of them kind of told a story, I guess. And then my, what's it called? Like, glucose levels were like not yet concerning, but like kind of we're going to eventually be on their way to being concerning. So things like that, where it was like, basically she looked at everything and was like, I feel so certain that if you lose weight, a lot of these things that are impacting your hormones and your mood are going to improve significantly. But because of the state of my hormones, losing weight had become kind of really, really hard, kind of like near impossible. So she prescribed me weight loss injections. Now, this is a whole thing on that. So my insurance doesn't cover that because I'm not at risk yet. So I went through this long process of figuring out, okay, how do I get access to this? Tried a lot of different stuff, figuring out a lot of different things, because if you're paying cash for one of the like name brand, like Zepbound, Ozempic, Mounjaro, you're paying a lot of money. But a lot of people have had good luck on a compounded one from like a trusted pharmacy. So I found a pharmacy near me who does tirzepatide compounded, which that's what my nurse practitioner prescribed me. Tirzepatide has been slightly more of a like successful option. It's like a little bit more intense than Ozempic. So that's what I started on in July, like mid-July. I got so sick, like so incredibly sick, that I couldn't even really recommend it to anyone. It's got to be something that you feel like, this is right for me, this is my only option, like I need to do this. Because I would never tell someone to get as sick as I got, but I just, stayed in close contact with my prescriber, and I just kind of stuck in there, and now I'm not sick anymore. Here are the ways that I was able to stop getting sick. So when I first started on it, what happens, some people just have the regular side effects, which it's like nausea, heartburn, like occasional diarrhea. What happened for me is, because it slows down your digestion, it slowed my digestion down so much that I was weekly having a point where things were slowed down so much that my body was like, it was going toxic, and it was just emptying for 24 hours. So that was terrible. And I was like, I know that this is not sustainable. I have to figure something out. I eventually realized that the vegetables that I was eating were kind of like building up and like fermenting, I think, and like creating this, like, it's really gross, but just like this, a lot more gas. And that was a huge part of why I was having such a hard time, was because I never really let up on the amount of vegetables I was eating, and especially around the shot, which, they tell you that you don't process vegetables very well. So I stopped eating vegetables. And I supplement with vitamins and greens and stuff like that, but I stopped eating vegetables for the time being. And I started doing this. Write this down. Magnesium oxide, Metamucil, fiber gummies, a digestive enzyme, I do hum, and what's the last one? A daily multivitamin. Every night at the exact same time I take those things. I went for about 2 months being sick once a week to I don't get sick at all anymore. I know part of it is that I adjusted to the medication, and then I know that part of it is that I got my body on a regular cycle of using the bathroom, and I stopped eating vegetables. So that's been that. I'm down over 20 pounds. The process of increasing my exercise, losing weight, starting to see a counselor, I feel like all of the fight or flight that I kind of like became a normal part of my life after having kids, and like the trauma of birth and postpartum, and the anxiety that you feel of like, it always feels like there's just like danger around every corner. Like, am I going to get to sleep at all tonight? Are my kids going to be okay? Are they safe? Are we safe? The edginess. I just like, I'd started to just like hate the person that I was, because I felt so edgy. I felt so unloving, so impatient. It was really hard feeling like I needed to apologize to my husband so often, because I just was like so irritable. I will say, I feel like if that was at a 10, it's down to a 3. After having lost weight, incorporated this exercise and this counseling into my life, I just feel so much better. I can tell that my hormones are starting to regulate. My cycle was like at 38, 39 days, and now it's at like 30 to 32, which was really significant. Oh, another thing is I started using progesterone because that was kind of low on my labs. And I think that that's helped me too. But yeah, I mean, it's really been a miracle. That's why I wanted to share, because I just don't feel like I would have known how to get here without God's help. And I'm just so grateful. I was just with my husband and my kids for the whole Christmas break, and I enjoyed them. Like, I really enjoyed them. I sent them to school this morning and I wanted to cry because I knew I was going to miss them. And I enjoyed my husband. And I'd spent on and off the last couple years feeling like I wasn't really capable of that kind of contentment for about half the month, if that makes sense. And I don't feel that way anymore. And I'm just really, 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 really grateful. So if you have any questions, if you feel like you've been in a similar place, follow me, DM me, and I would love to talk.